In our last video, we talked about where the teacher shortage is the worst. Today, let's talk about the reasons why the shortage exists. It's not because there are more students than in the past. Although technically student enrollment has increased a little bit, and it's not because there's a sudden demand for more teachers. The total number of teachers in the United States has remained pretty steady. So, what's going on? There are 5 main reasons for the teacher shortage. First, teacher preparation programs simply aren't producing as many new teachers. Nationally, the number of new educators graduating from teacher prep programs has fallen by almost 30%. This tightening of the new teacher pipeline is primarily driven by decreasing interest and enrollment in traditional teacher prep programs, and alternative programs haven't been able to make up the difference. Quite simply, teaching isn't exactly an attractive career choice for young people anymore, and that's a bad sign for the future teacher pipeline. It's tough to hire new teachers when there just aren't as many to go around. Second, high teacher turnover creates an ongoing problem. Educators leave for higher paying professions, or districts with better pay, or to escape unsupportive school cultures. And every time a teacher leaves their position, the school district has to find candidates to fill that opening. There just aren't enough candidates to meet the rising need. It's like trying to fill a big leaky bucket with a low-pressure garden hose in the desert. Another big reason for the teacher shortage has to do with salary and benefits. Teachers in the United States earn just 60% of what other professionals with similar education levels make. It's not just the salaries either. Health insurance costs are rising for everybody, including teachers. And pension costs are shifting more and more to the individual teachers, with many educators being required to contribute more money to their pension programs or retirement funds. You might say, well, tough luck. Everyone's paying more these days. But teachers aren't seeing big salary increases to make up the difference. In fact, from 2006 to 2016, the average teacher salary fell by 3% after taking inflation into account. It's tough to recruit and retain teachers when you can't offer competitive wages and benefits. So it makes sense that states with less funding for schools and the lowest teacher salaries tend to have the more severe shortages. Remember the teacher protests in what happened in Arizona, West Virginia, and Oklahoma? Reason number 4, challenging work environments. Teachers don't just leave because of the salary. They often leave because of the working conditions. There's pressure from parents, frustration from ever-changing mandates on what to teach and how to teach it, and long hours spent working on paperwork, lesson plans, and assignments well after the school day is over. As a teacher, all of this is worth it when you finally see a concept click for a student. But when you add another stressor into the mix, like being low on money, having to pay for classroom supplies out of pocket, and a lack of professional development or an unsupportive school culture, well, that can be the straw that breaks the teacher's back. This isn't just a retention problem either. It's tough to convince people to become teachers when they're hearing about the troubles of teaching to the test or dealing with difficult home life situations. And finally, the 5th reason for the teacher shortage, a lack of fully qualified applicants. This one seems pretty obvious. There's a shortage after all. What I mean by this is even if a district has applicants for a position, they might not have experience in that subject. Or it could be that they don't have a teaching license or degree at all. This happens more than you think. It's becoming more and more common that positions are filled with teachers with provisional, temporary, or emergency certifications. This happens across teaching subjects, even in elementary or general education, and it's particularly prevalent in high-poverty schools, where it can often be even more helpful to have the proper training and relevant education to support creative problem solving and foster a positive learning experience for students. And even for schools with more resources, this can be a serious challenge when trying to fill more specialized positions. It's not generally good practice to have a teacher trying to learn the same subject matter as their students. If you're trying to hire someone to teach calculus in one of your high schools, but none of your candidates have any background in mathematics, you're going to have a hard time. And so will your students. For that matter, whoever you hire will have a hard time too, trying to learn about differentials the night before they're supposed to teach it to a class of 25 students. But if you have to hire someone and no one is qualified, what are you supposed to do? In several states, the answer is to take what you can get. Hire the candidate who appears to have the most potential and apply for an emergency certificate. That way, this position can be filled now, and hopefully you'll have a fully certified teacher in the future. So there you have it, the top 5 reasons for the teacher shortage. In our next video, we'll talk about a few ways that schools can get creative and fill positions.